Hello, my name is Wendell with Community Access Television here on the Big Island, bringing to you community news. We have two special guests in the studio today. Keoni, tell us about yourself and your family ties with this cave in Puna.
Our ohana comes from Molokai. It's the Kaikolo ohana, and then also the Kau'i ohana, and they are from Kalapana district, also in Wailua, Oahu. And basically, while we were building our home, we discovered a native Hawaiian burial cave near our home, and ever since then we've been protecting it from development.
Well, who owns the grounds that the burial cave's on?
Well, after doing all my research and things like that about where we live, and that's by Kahekahe and the whole Maku'u area, all that were ceded lands, and it just got sold. It's just like how Hawaii is today. Lands got taken and sold.
So presently today, the property is owned by somebody else now?
Yeah, right now the property is owned by a Portuguese guy, but he passed away. So
was any remains in that cave?
Yeah, there were several remains, and as I got older, we had archaeologists and things like that came back because we found out that they didn't document it. Yeah, that the state lost the records, so we had to play catch up. Within 4 years, we had to go back to the state and we had to try and get caught up to get the site documented. And when I went with them, there's several remains in there, and then there's a lot of scattered remains as well. Yeah.
So what organization is supporting you?
Right now we have, I had a lot of support in helping me to, try and preserve this site. I mean, OHA wrote a lot of letters. We had the unanimous from the Island Burial Council recognize us as cultured descendants. The whole problem that we're having right now is just the way the system is and the loopholes in the laws that not protecting, our burials as what we as Native Hawaiians feel that nobody should be developing on burials, building next to burials, and keeping the area sacred.
So what you want to do, you want to make this a historical site or privately owned, non-profit?
Well,
what you want to do with it?
I feel that the burial should be protected no matter if, it should be an automatic kind of thing that the state should protect our burial sites and keep it as sacred. Right now I'm at a point that, I'm just trying to go out and trying to get monies and funding to protect this burial cave.
So protect the burial site, in what way? You plan to purchase that, right?
Yeah, the whole goal, we don't have to do anything to the cave or to the burial. I mean, we have generations that's going to come after that's going to take care of it. But right now, the whole thing is to keep it in its natural state as is and just protect it, just the way our kupunas, wanted it.
Well, but protecting in the sense of buying the property.
That's just one way of doing it. I don't believe that we should be purchasing our burial sites to protect it.
That's true.
I believe that there should be already laws that's supposed to protect our iwi kupuna from development, building on bulldozing and desecration.
But once you set up, start recording this and put it down on paper. So this can be a precedent for guys in different areas of the Big Island. You have caves and different islands, right? Because right now there's no, because I know the state burial council, they're really weak, and they have only 2 state employees. So you got to do it as much as possible by yourself, huh?
Well, yeah. Well, the Island Burial Council is really strong in their recommendations and stuff. Yeah. They can keep the burials in place, but it's just a matter of what the treatment to the burial site is. Yeah. So building on it, developing next to it, that's a whole negotiation between the Island Burial Council and then also the landowner. So that's one of the problems.
A lot of people know that Keoni, he was known for all his videotaping of musicians on the Big Island. And what I want to know from Keoni, how do you go from filming musicians, hula dancers and everything, chanting, to burial caves?
Well, we always been protecting, the burial cave, so it wasn't something like it was something new. My problem was when I realized when development started to come and approach upon our sacred sites was that, it should be protected. So when I went to the meetings and went to ask for protection and how do you get protection for a burial site, and seeing other families there that couldn't protect their families and their lineal descendants and being locked out of their burial grounds and things. So I knew something was wrong, and being a filmmaker, I just took it upon myself to take out my time and for an important cause, and that was to protect our iwi kupuna.
Okay, I want to let everybody know we're going to start talking with Pi'ilani Ka'avalo. She's born and raised in Kalapana, long family history. And Pi'ilani, aloha.
Aloha.
How did you get involved with Keoni on this project?
Well, Keoni had invited me to come by and take a look at a cave that was near his home, and he wanted to know how what can he do to go and try and protect this particular cave.
Yeah.
And so I went to go and visit him, to go and see the site of this cave, and shared with him some of the cultural practices with going in and trying to protect the spirit of the area, locating the ohana, find out groups, enlighten him on groups that were very active in what he was trying to do, and helping him to get his goal for this particular burial site. And I think it kind of opened a big can of worms for him. He really didn't know the spectrum of what was going to happen with his life with regards to this particular burial site.
So being a Native Hawaiian, we're all Native Hawaiians. Why is this so important to the Native Hawaiian culture? We have hula, we have dancing, so what part does this cave or this burial site play?
Burial sites are very important to not only Hawaiian but every culture. Everybody has to bury somebody. Their family members, and so for us Hawaiians, we didn't have a cemetery to go and bury our kupuna, and a lot of times our kupuna wanted to be buried in the place that they grew up, that they were familiar, that they were comfortable with. And so that was their last request, that's their last right. And so as family members that are left behind to care for their last wishes, it is our kuleana to malama that, and to place them where they feel comfortable, to place them in an area that they can be laid to rest with whatever adornments that they want to be laid to rest with. And we call that the moe iwi,
when you look at a cave, like Keoni's cave, you walk in there, how do you know that cave is a ranking cave or not a ranking cave, whether it's a fisherman or farmer or an ali'i cave? When
you go and if you ever go into a cave and you have certain artifacts that are laid with the deceased. So, for example, if my grandmother had passed away, it is traditional that you would lay with her. She's a master lauhala weaver, and so her favorite items that she utilized to weave lauhala, these items would be placed with her. Today, it's not any different like how our kupunas, but in the past, our kupunas were buried with their canoes. If they were warriors, they were buried with their weapons, their trophies, artifacts that would help them in the next world. So, these things belong to our kupuna that we lay to rest. It is not ours to take, and that's the problem today, is that when people go into these caves, or developers come upon these areas where they find bones, and on top of the bones they find all these artifacts, and many a times they don't report the artifacts. They take it home with them, they sell it, and so it's not until after the fact that you come upon this iwi and you see certain things on the iwi, on the bones, and then you wonder where the rest of the things are. And so I think that's basically the biggest crime is to not be responsible. If if you're a landowner or a developer of any level, you come across these caves, these burial sites, you need to do your homework. You need to locate the former families that lived there. You need to find out what is the proper protocols to take to ensure that that the spirit of this kupuna that was laid here or laid where on your property gets the best care. For us, the family members, the descendants of these people, knowing, and that's the whole thing, is the ike, the knowing, the knowledge. That they belong there. It's not your right or responsibility to remove them because somebody else bought the land or somebody else is trying to develop. It's the kuleana of the people to respect and to allow that person that space.
I think more. It's not part of this script right now, but I enjoyed listening to Pialani. But a lot of you people from the mainland or anywhere else buying land in Hawaii, and you have a grave site or you have something on your property. Get the patience to get a hold of the county, state, or somebody, and find out what's going on. Just don't bulldoze it. It's like bulldozing punch bowl. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. You guys don't have respect for that grave site or the burial site on your property that's been there before you. Just think about it.
And that's I just want to say this is a lot of times people come and they say, oh, something's bad happened to my family, and I'm not from here, I'm not superstitious, but my child's been sick, something's been happening, I'm hearing this, all kinds of things happen. And that's because a lot of times your passion for wanting to live here in Hawaii supersedes your passion for knowing about the culture or the place in which you live. And so, for me, when I hear a lot of, these situations that happen, I go right to, when you bulldoze your property, did you notice anything? Do you know the history of the place in which you live in? I hear a lot of people from Puna side, especially in Waikahe-Kahenui, and that's like Kaloli area, Paradise Park. Oh, every time over here, rain, flood. I go, Waikahe-Kahenui, the heavy flowing waters. Okay, so come on now, so kind of do your homework, know the place in which you live. It's just common sense kind of stuff, and it's not only for Hawaiians. Every indigenous person or indigenous culture have these practices and beliefs, and so you need to be very respectful. And I think without having that respect, you lose focus and you lose context, and that's where the pilikea happens.
You talk about respect. I'm not blaming the other nationals that don't know anything, because our Hawaiians is just as bad as the other nationals. Sure. So how do we get, like you're at Kamehameha School, how do you talk to these kids? Kamehameha School. Can you start with, what would you tell them?
It's not about the school. It's not about, it's the person. It's the individual person.
How do you reach
but educating people, educating, the next generation, it's a lot of it has to do with hands-on. Because, sometimes within their family, they lost the connection. The practice wasn't passed on, and I can share that within my own family. Behind of our house, we live down by the Kahakai site, and there's a cave in the ocean, and in that cave is a mano, a shark. And my grandmother would always tell us, and my grandfather too when he was alive, that before time, his, great-grandfather, his kupunas would feed the shark. But there was a time when the caregiver decided that there was nobody in the family that would be able to continue the practice.
Okay.
And for whatever reason it was, they took that practice with them, but educated us to take care, to malama, to not necessarily feed the mano, but respect. And so as children growing up, those are lessons. When we go down to the beach, you don't do this. There are certain protocols that we have to follow. The next generation needs to do that.
Yeah.
So whose kuleana is that? That's ours.
Yeah.
And so in educating our next generation, you need to take them to these places. You need to make them aware of how they need to take care of it. Not just tell them, no. Every time, we teach them, no, don't do that. No, but we don't explain. We don't show them how. We just tell them, oh, that's not how you do it. Do that. No. We have to change the way we teach and educate our children today. And not only the children, but our visitors, our guests that come and want to make Hawaii their home, or any place they go. I mean, I don't go to the mainland and go on an Indian reservation and, exploit their knowledge or their ike or their protocol. I'm the malihini, I'm the visitor. So I go with utmost respect, and in hopes that they see that reverence, they see that compassion in me, in respecting their culture. And so likewise, same thing. I go to Japan a lot too for hula. And even that, I wouldn't go onto a Buddhist temple and, erect my ku'ahu and say, oh, because I'm Hawaiian, I'm a cultural practitioner, I do hula, you folks doing hula, you better build one ku'ahu over there. No, it's about respect. And that's, I think, the most important in teaching anybody about these kinds of situations, and allowing them to learn from, and if we don't have kupunas out there that know these protocols, then find somebody. Because I know there was a time in our history where our culture was at a standstill. Our kupunas couldn't talk Hawaiian. They couldn't practice their cultural beliefs. And so a lot of these knowledges were lost. And so lucky for those whose families were strong and were being taught to continue and preserve their family practice. And it is through these families that the shared knowledge can be passed on and applied to any other family. Even though your family does not practice that, it is out of respect that you go and see another family that continues to practice, even though it's not your belief today.
This is why it's good that Keoni, through his media, being a media person, that we can reach, with Pialani and us over here. This filming can reach everybody on the Big Island, and he got them on YouTube and throughout the world. So not only us here talking to you folks here on the Big Island, but it can reach out and educate everybody, including Hawaiians.
With technology nowadays, especially in education, we talk about 21st century learning. Everything, life is evolving. And with technology, I'm pretty sure we can come to some kind of agreement in how we, maintain our cultural practices throughout the world. not only here in Hawaii, but it just seems that Hawaii is really taking a beating with regards to cultural practices because of the incoming cultures, or it's a lot of times you think of Hawaii like in the in the 50s, 60s, even the 30s, 40s, the pristine beaches, but you don't know the behind the scenes of the day in life in a Hawaiian family.
Let me ask you a question, and then I want to get back to Keoni. Like Kyoki Kaumoko. I always I talked to Kyoki and I said, you know what? In your classes, you have all non-Hawaiian Hawaiian. Does it make a difference? He said, it don't make a difference because we promoting the music. In your practice, what happens if which I'm pretty sure we have, non-Hawaiians practicing Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian, medicine and all that. How you feel about a non-Hawaiian learning what you know, or say you're teaching them, and it's all right with you that another nationality is learning the same system?
Sure, as long as they're, that's where the malama comes in. We cannot own, it is part of our responsibility as a culture practitioner, as a Hawaiian to Malama Hawaii. But anybody who comes to live here in Hawaii should, be able to continue to take care of Hawaii like how Hawaii should be taken care of. So back to your question about other people practicing the culture. I remember a time when my kupunas would say, every single person could speak Hawaiian. There was a time on the plantation, if you were Japanese, Portuguese, German, everybody that came to Hawaii spoke Hawaiian. And we have documentation of this. So how come we lost that? Where is that today? How come we're not speaking Hawaiian? Pure Japanese were speaking Hawaiian. Like
Ranch,
vice versa.
Parker Ranch, all the cowboys spoke Hawaiian.
That's right. Everybody on the plantation spoke Hawaiian. All the Paniolos spoke Hawaiian. Hawaiian was a big, speaking the language was important. And then all of a sudden, if you want to know and learn the culture, then learn it well. Don't learn it half. Learn it well so that you continue the practice, and by you doing that, you are becoming aware of what your responsibility will be.
This point, what P. Line is bringing up, we're not wandering off from the subject about the cave. This whole thing comes right back to the cave.
Exactly.
This whole idea of how to preserve the culture, whether you're Hawaiian or non-Hawaiians. Now let's get back to Keoni, and we can talk story among three of us. Keoni, now, can you name some of the people that are involved with you? I mean, supporting you, organizations, and
Right now, I get I got all the different people who, even though I don't know who's in the burial cave, that is still our responsibility as Native Hawaiians in protecting the burial cave. I'm a descendant, although, our family came from the district, it's just part of my responsibility as a Native Hawaiian to step up and to provide protection. And if the families did come forward, then that would be their responsibility to pick up and continue on.
So this project right now, is this the series of projects on the cave, or this is?
Well, what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a film, a documentary, and this documentary is a statewide documentary of all different organizations, different people from all grassroots to keiki to kupuna to kumu, who knows about the traditional practices of burial sites, and not only the traditional site but even the present day. From doing this documentary, I just learned a lot from our kupuna, from the young ones too, because they're just as their mana'o is just as empowering as any other kupuna or kumu as well, because they're realizing it from a very young age.
We got a few minutes left, and I just want to bring up real fast, Peel, and you mentioned that he's bringing up a can of worms, to open up a can. Oh, what do you mean by that?
I think there are so many facets of our culture that can be incorporated in this project. Not only the burial sites, but with the burial sites came the practice of prayer and chants, the respect, knowing the person. Our culture is intertwined. It's our way of life. It's our, you can't change who you are. I mean, you're Hawaiian. You cannot change that. You're Filipino. You have a cultural practice that comes and a responsibility that comes with who you are.
Yeah, well, I want to continue what P. Ilani was saying about all the facets of the Hawaiian culture. You get the hula, you got the singing, the musicians, you got the chants, and now with the burial sites, cave sites, and also, Terry Napi, he just opened up her gallery at the Prince Kuiu with Alvarez, one of his paintings up there, or pictures up there. And of course, we have a radio station now in Kapu, Native Hawaiian. So we got a Native Hawaiian radio station nationwide. We got a first art gallery with all Native Hawaiian artists, and now we get P. Ilani, and we get all these practitioners working together. And you know what? We don't keep it to ourselves. Like as Hawaiians, we do a lot of sharing, and it's too bad that we don't write the book, because it seems like other people write the book of what we share. Sure. Henry Awai. Sure. A lot of people learn from him, and all of a sudden somebody in Chicago wrote a book about Henry Awai. The money didn't come back to Hawaii, it stayed in Chicago. So, we're so much of sharing, and, we don't care about the money facet, sharing. Just perpetuate. Dottie Thompson, she wasn't Hawaiian, she perpetuated that for 40 plus years. So it's not whether you're Hawaiian and you're precious.
Have Hawaiian blood.
You have Hawaiian blood. Well, nobody can tell me what to do. Hey, go to university and get an education on Hawaiian studies, whatever you can, whether university or at home. But
find a kupuna.
I'm enjoying working with Keoni on this project, and he's bringing on P. Ilani like this. It's terrific.
Mahalo.
Okay, what's the last words there, P. Ilani, before we close?
Just on this, subject of our burial sites and our kupuna, I just want to, people to really, really think about what's going on here. If you can imagine outsiders going to Arlington Cemetery and digging up our war heroes, or going to Jesus' tomb and desecrating that, what kind of impression, or what would the outcome be? And that is what's happening here for our families, our kupuna, not only the ones that are still well hidden, but the ones who were already taken, that are waiting to be returned in the museum so far away. There are thousands of our kupuna who were taken and are in museums such as the Smithsonian, Boston, all over the world. When will they be coming home to us? When will they have that special spiritual journey back to home? I want people to think about that and not think about our radical ways of trying to preserve our culture. We do this because there is no other way. We try to approach in a calm manner. We try to go through the protocols that is required of the government. But there are times when You are pushed up against the wall, and you have to set a foundation for yourself, and you have to think, what are you going to do next? How are you going to help your kupuna? Because that's you. You're going to be the next to be laid down to rest. Will somebody come and desecrate your moment of sleep?
So, it's good to see young people perpetuating the rules of the game, because we never had rules. And when somebody tell me they're an expert on Hawaiian studies, give me a break. Nobody's an expert. The experts all died. They all died. So, having Keoni, having Pi'ilani, and all the young people that coming up, that can write things down and can recording things on a camera. This is really, it's just like we were talking earlier. The film gonna perpetuate the whole thing. We'll be dead and gone, and it's still gonna be here. Anyway, I want to say thank you to Pi'ilani Ka'awaloa for being on board with us.
Mahalo Keoni.
And mahalo Keoni. You want to say the last few words?
No, I think it's just a great thing that, for young ones, old ones, people just learning about our culture, it's a good thing to get involved, and also to protect what Hawaii truly is, and it's people, it's burials, it's traditions, and it's everything all together. So I just want to thank everybody for helping me.
I want to say this is not CNN news, but this is the best thing going to happen, to see this film. My name is Wendell Ka'ehu'aia with Community Television, Na Leo Hawaii, aloha, and take care.